Welcome to the Lights Out Podcast. This is Chris Lights Out Lytle, and this is our journey to document the history of mixed martial arts. I have brought with me my friend, the MMA detective Mike Davis, and together we will preserve the history and hear some great stories from the world in the era of the no-holds-barred. Thank you and enjoy.
Welcome back to the Lights Out MMA History Podcast. I am Joey Venti. I'm with the host of the show, the MMA detective Mike Davis, and we have a very special episode for you today. Today, we're doing a deep dive of 1995's Extreme Fighting Championship 1, and helping us break down this historical gem is two of the men who lived it. We have friend of the show and MMA's founding fossil, John Perretti, and the organization's first and only middleweight champion, Igor Zinoviev. Gentlemen, good to have you back.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. All right, that's a great introduction. Unbelievable.
Yes. So John, let's start from the beginning because, and ladies and gentlemen at home, I'm going to tell you this right now. In terms of nostalgia and watching, an artist, paint a picture, Extreme Fighting 1's a masterpiece. Like from beginning to end, it's incredible and, historically underappreciated. So here, John, how does Extreme Fighting, like you watched UFC 1, how does it come from being a viewer all the way to the inception of Extreme Fighting?
No, I'm sorry, Mike. I don't understand your question.
You watched UFC 1.
Yes.
As somebody that is an astute historian of the sport and avid fan at this point.
Well, at that point it was 10 years. I was 10 years in. I met, and trained with incredible people. And I watched UFC 1, and it was I think I was with Lavelle and I don't know, Dr. John Keating, Atlanta, Georgia comes to mind. Anyway, it was such a debacle because we had worked so hard collectively. Donald Zuckerman, my God, we worked so hard on Extreme Fighting, and then we lost our backing and then had to, Donald had to get us all reinvested, put in personal money and so on and so forth, and juggle and start all over again.
Okay.
And Igor knows that. I mean, he was there. A lot of people say they were there, but he was there.
So Dr. John Keating is a name that actually has come up in a few recent conversations with that of myself. He also was the person that promoted that Mars event. Am I correct?
That is correct. He actually stole my ring announcer. And then I lost Tony Molinax to John. And John got hoodwinked by a guy who claimed to be a Navy SEAL and a brown belt with hoist. Although he would never roll with me, not even in the same room. And I asked to do that with him a couple of times. He was a total poser, and I called up a couple of Navy SEAL guys and had him look up the name, and they said, and I don't remember the guy's name, but
was he a chiropractor? Was he a chiropractor?
No.
He wasn't a doctor.
No, he was a fraud. But anyway, I might remember his name as we go. He said the SEAL that called me back in about 15 minutes said, not only was he not a SEAL, he wasn't in the Navy. Oh. So I told John Keating this, who had just put in like $500,000 with him to do this Mars event, and I don't think John ever spoke to me again.
Was his first name Tim?
No, but if you said his name, I would absolutely recognize it in a second.
Okay. So Igor Zinoviev, you and
Yes.
John know each other from was it Madison City Muscle?
Madison Avenue Muscle, no.
No.
We predate. We predate that.
Oh wow. And Igor, when do you I come to the understanding that Extreme Fighting 1 is going to take place.
Well, we prepared for it, but I'm sorry, but it didn't take place. And then finally it does take place. But we
Right.
lost our backing, so we had to start over.
So
Not my
Igor,
job, not Igor's job, but Donald's job. He had to start from scratch again, you know.
okay. So Igor, as a fighter, when do you know that it's coming to fruition? Because you and John obviously are rolling together.
Well, just like as usual. So normally we just train so much, right? So if first time was kind of like a delayed or like a cancellation of the fight, and always, I mean, like they put in the beginning, you know, like I thought, you know, like we never even just get it. We train much. We do really a lot stuff, different training, you know. So
Okay. So John Perretti, how do you meet Donald Zuckerman?
Okay, let's see.
He's the executive producer for those at home.
Well, you became the co-executive producer, actually. Let's see. How does this start? There's a guy. Can't remember his name either. But he just had it. Anyway, so there's other people involved in California. The whole extreme fighting, battlecade, not extreme fighting, but the whole battlecade idea comes from Richard Crudo. Richard Crudo was a DP. He was a really famous DP, and he was he represented SAG he was the president, I think, of SAG for years and years and years and years. Richard Crudo was the brainchild of this thing called Battlecade. And the reason Battlecade was going to be, I mean, they had no idea what they were going to do. At one point in time, we were talking about getting a giant Lexan fish tank and dropping people into it. And I tried to talk them out of that as quickly as possible. But the fruition of it is that I designed a ring, and Donald had it built by these guys who built these WWF rings, which were sprung, and we sprang ours. And I used Ensolite foam so that the wrestlers would have good shoes on, blah, 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 blah. And so I meet Donald in the Upper East Side. And I believe he's with this other guy. Oh, Steve Immerman. Steve Immerman is this printer, like commercial printer, who made some money in, like, I want to say Chicago or something, who, I don't know, entertained guys in interesting ways. And they signed contracts with him. But then he had money and he moved to LA and he wanted to be a producer. And he hooked up with Donald, and Donald was a producer and a friend of Richard Crudo's. And Donald meets me in an Upper East Side diner, and we have coffee and we hit it off. And then Donald wants me to be the referee. That was what I was being looked at for. And then he starts to talk to other people who think that I'm more than a referee. And then Donald starts to come around and say, hey, this guy is great, blah, 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 and sees my worth. And we talk, and I start to tell him all my ideas, and it just comes pouring out because of the amount of time that I've invested in this martial mayhem. And that's, that's where it goes from.
Okay.
Zimmerman leaves at some point, and Crudo is never really in the picture at all, but it's his brainchild.
Okay. So Rick Blume is cited as the CEO.
So Rick Blume was a pay-per-view guy, and knew nothing about martial arts, and was a bit of an oddity. I bought him out for 30 grand right before Extreme Fighting 1. No one really knows that. but Rick Blume was a fairly dishonest guy.
Okay. On the Wikipedia, he is listed as somebody that coined the term mixed martial arts.
It depends what day you look. I was told the other day that that Jeff Blatnick was again coining the word. Rick Blume couldn't coin mixed martial arts. I mean, it didn't go that way. If you look at that article that was taken off the internet a couple of years ago, that's in my book, printed in my book, Joey. If you have my book, there's an article printed in that. I don't have one in front of me.
Right there.
He's got it. Okay, so there's an article in there. I think it's like 3/4 of the way through, and it interviews a bunch of people about who coined mixed martial arts, and Rick Blume was in no way, shape, or form able to do that. I'm sure if you ask Zinoviev, have you ever heard that phraseology before Extreme Fighting 1, which was the day that changed martial arts forever. That's that day that changed martial arts forever, Extreme Fighting 1. He would probably say that, a lot of people heard me talking about the mixing of martial arts. This is prior to LaBelle, by the way.
Do you think anybody at the UFC front office may have heard you say that, and they may have used that term?
No, they started using the term right after I wrote the press release and used mixed martial arts.
So when did you write the press release?
Well, I don't have that date in my head, but
a few months before.
It happens before the first cancellation. So it's way down before. Igor, do you even remember our first fight when we were going to do it?
Not really.
It's got to be a year. It has to be a year before we actually got off the road.
Definitely a year, yes, because
absolutely a year.
That's what I just remember. Like we really kind of like prepare for like fights, and you just tell me like fights not going on, it's canceled, and but you continue train. Okay, all right. So we continue to move on. I remember that.
Hold up. I gotta interrupt this. We've got a guy that does research for us named Joshua Campbell, who is mentally ill when it comes to finding very obscure things. So John Perretti, November 18th, 1995 was EF1, but a year prior, you did a press release for an event that eventually got canceled. That's what you're saying, correct?
What I'm saying is that the press release was absolutely prior to that, because we had an advertising firm, and I was doing all the posters for Extreme Fighting. I designed the posters for Extreme Fighting, and so I knew that I had to write this with them and talk them through it. So when I coined mixed martial arts in press release form, that's when the Ultimate heard that, and then John McCarthy and Jeff Blatnick mimicked it.
All right. So let me continue.
Meyerowitz has admitted that to me, by the way.
All right. So let me continue. You have been vindicated because
what's that mean?
Well, UFC 7, the poster for UFC 7 took place 1 month prior to your event.
1 month after.
No, it's before. It's before.
Okay.
UFC 7 is before.
Okay.
They used the term mixed martial arts on that poster.
Right.
But if you said you press released it prior, that actually kind of makes a complete and total sense.
It's true, and that press release was around and it was on the internet for years.
That's fantastic. Unlike myself, Josh Campbell had a little bit of doubt. Not me though, John Perretti. Not myself.
Josh Campbell. I mean, if you really want to get involved in this shit, find out where that press release went and how it was removed.
He will do that. I'm telling you this right now.
He should refer to that article that was given permission for me to put in my memoirs that Joey has.
All right. So Rick Blume coining the term mixed martial arts is an insult. Are we correct on that?
It's just hocus pocus. It has nothing to do. And Zuckerman states that in that article that Rick had nothing to do with that. John Perretti been saying it for years.
That's fantastic. All right. So up until this point, Joey, you and I had a discussion last night. The only Gracie that we were really privy to was Royce. 1, 2, 3, the super fight with Ken Shamrock. And then Renzo fought a month prior on the WCC. This event featured, you got Half, and we're talking about the Gracie family here. You had Carlson Jr., you had Mario Sperry, and you had Conan Silveira. Like, you came heavy with some of the greatest mixed martial artists coming out of the country of Brazil. Joey, would you agree with that statement?
Absolutely.
Like, the Gracie family, with lots of questions, lots of, oh my God, who are these people? But we saw them outside the cage, but we never saw them inside the cage.
Yeah. I understand. I understand your point. And thank you, Joey, being a sycophant like you are, for saying that.
That's an insult. But keep
it's
going,
not.
John.
We're off to a bumpy start.
It's the truth. But thank you for that. I mean, I really appreciate that.
So like, we
don't
don't
supporter other than sycophant. But that's okay.
Right.
Well, that's my opinion, Joey.
Okay.
But Joey, like, when Extreme Fighting 1 came and you heard about all of these people from Carlson Gracie, his top guns, as well as his son, Carlson's son, and Half, like, it was holy shit for us fans.
Yeah. Well, we knew Royce was good. We'd seen him perform, but it was time to see what the Brazilians' bench looked like. Like how deep was their roster, and this show showcased that.
So John, you came hard with the Gracies. How do you make that connection?
Well, it certainly wasn't through the Machados.
I could tell you what I heard.
Okay.
I heard Federico Lapenda.
No, wait. Federico Lapenda was representing Carlson Gracie Sr. In fact, he got paid, I think it was 80 grand for Carlson Gracie. And later on, Carlson Gracie admitted that, Federico Lapenda stole all his money. But I didn't know Federico Lapenda, so that doesn't work for me in my head.
Wait. So who paid it? I mean, did your company pay him 80 grand for a connection with the Gracies?
I believe that's the number. I mean, Donald Zuckerman has a great memory, but I believe that was the number.
Holy shit.
Uh-huh.
We interviewed Sergio Bottarelli. I mean, 80 grand is a lot today. Back then, that's insane. Sergio Bottarelli in our interview said that Federico, there's a reoccurring theme with him, and it's money coming up missing. A side note, I got a phone call from Andy Anderson in prison, and he said he left a Rolex while attending Pride, and they gave it to Lapenda to give to him like a few weeks later at a future fight. And he said, I never saw the watch again. It was gone.
I mean, there's nothing you can say to me about what I recall about Federico Lapenda to surprise me. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know why we're talking about him. I don't think he was the one that introduced me there. I can tell you that that for some reason, well, it's somebody that came out of those schools like Beverly Hills Jiu-Jitsu and those places, because those were the places that I was going and looking at fighters everywhere. So somewhere word of mouth, but I knew that I wanted to, and I think Donald would remember this, I went to Meet Health. I didn't meet Health with like Federico Lapenda. We went to Health School to meet Health. We went to here to meet Royce. We went to here and met Horian, blah, 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 blah.
Okay. And
don't forget. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so the Gracies, right at this moment, are heavily associated with the UFC. Did you feel it was like almost like a shakedown dealing with them, or was it difficult? hard, easy? Describe the negotiations.
Well, it was fortunate for me. You mentioned Madison Avenue Muscle. One of my clients from the very beginning of Madison Avenue Muscle, I don't remember his name. I believe he was Italian. He became he was a lawyer. He became the Gracie's manager in a sense. And when I walked into that meeting with Horian and Royce, for Royce to fight some unknown judo guy from fucking Russia. He was like, John Perretti, I'm so and so. You don't remember me, but I did remember him. And then the negotiations went really, really well. You know, we were signed to fight for Extreme Fighting 1, which never happened. So let's call it pre-1. For pre-1, for Royce Gracie to absolutely fight some unknown Russian judo guy.
So we're talking about Igor Zinoviev. So Igor, when the negotiations with Royce started taking place, and you are the person that is supposed to fight him, what were your thoughts in regards to the bout?
No, I thought it was going to be like first of all, like a great fight. I know it's not going to be easy. And that's that John mentioned, you know, like we have to just study more like jiu-jitsu, because judo, samba, Muay Thai, but have to be a big connection. So, and for that point, we just fly to, John introduced me to John Lewis, and we fly to Las Vegas, and we start do some stuff on jiu-jitsu there. And John Lewis that there brings some couple Brazilian guys like André Pederneiras, and I don't remember, like another couple instructors there also, Brazilian guys. But some point we do very well, and suddenly something happens, you know, just I was kind of on that point no welcome to any kind of like jiu-jitsu schools.
Okay.
I'll be honest, that's what's right. So
Well, that's the truth, you know, and I can
it's
say ditto.
kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like I say like maybe a little jealous in parts, maybe not, because I'm kind of like learn pretty quick every moves, and like a sponge. So I need to just, for example, you show me something, you know, like once, I need to see once, and I probably can repeat. So I have that kind of like memories in my head.
And John Lewis also had that type of memory.
No, different.
No?
No. Different. Very different.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's very different animals.
Okay, let me continue. So Igor starts working out with André Pederneiras, his group of guys. I wonder if Fabiano Iha may have been in that group as well. But you're over there, Joe Moriera possibly. So you're over
absolutely there. Joe Moriera was absolutely there.
Yeah.
And then I was going to say before, Goaz was involved early on with me too. I just can't remember listen, we were everywhere. I was everywhere, you know, so I had my hands in everything. You know, I was training, LaBelle introduced me to Machados. I was at the Machados in Redondo. And then, you know, I invented this sport where you could get knocked the fuck out trying to get the straight armbar and the go behind choke. No offense, Joey.
Okay. So Igor, is it kind of safely to assume that maybe some of the information that took place at practice was making its way back over to the Gracie camp in regards to yourself?
No, I never been in a Gracie camp, actually.
But your training partners may have been giving information to them?
Probably.
Because you said the fight disappeared right after.
Yeah. So
John, what kind of price tag did you?
Well, sometimes, like even from different schools and people coming in and I say, oh, well, I'm trained with Gracie, la, la, la. I say, oh, it's great, So we start rolling. I would just see what people do. And like I tell before, I like to see what people doing, I let him do it. I play like a dummy, like big dummy, with a move. And I'm not really was impressed. A lot of stuff. But I understand that's a student. But I meet when we just see the Gina Labelle from the Gokor. So this is, I see people really try to crush you, dominate, show the power, what they do. And that's making more like laughing and just smile, just smile inside, I love that, there's people try to be really cocky and powerful. Big guys, so
it's good. Yeah. John Perretti, what kind of money was Royce asking for? What did you guys agree to?
I believe Donald was going to settle on $1 million in a 3-fight deal or something.
Wow.
We had I didn't do any money for Extreme Fighting or UFC.
I would venture to say that at this point in the development of the sport, $1 million is not enough money for Royce to take a loss. He couldn't afford
Royce, that. But let me be clear. Royce believed his own bullshit, and that's a Labellian quote.
I believe that, but I would say maybe the people that he listened to understood that unless they really knew who that opponent was, a loss at this moment would have set back that Gracie franchise quite a bit.
No, you're speculating. We don't know. We don't even know if Igor wins the fight. I mean, as he says, quote unquote, fight is fight, right? So I mean, we don't know. Did I have an idea? Yeah, I had a professional opinion.
All right, so John, my belief in regards to matchmaking is that the modern era of mixed martial arts starts at Extreme Fighting 1. Like you referred to the UFC as purposeful mismatches, and we're going to go through Extreme Fighting 1.
Prior to my arrival.
Yes.
And that's me being nice.
Okay. And we don't know how Royce versus Igor would have went, but Royce versus Mario Sperry, I think we can all safely assume that Mario Sperry does pretty well in that fight. And we saw how Mario
Valij, who beat Royce, right? Valij I used to train at Gold's with him, and he was a very comical guy. But Valij he laughed at me once. He laughed out loud in the middle of the gym because we were talking about what Sperry would have done to Royce Gracie.
So exactly. So I know you're not.
Of course, Rickson said that Sperry was a purple belt.
That is true.
Yeah, but I know MMA math doesn't add up all of the time, but I'm fairly confident that the odds, based on the totality of their careers at this point, that Igor would probably be a favorite coming into that. So
don't forget he has no background.
And in boxing, they refer to guys like Igor as he's a Cuban ghost. In other words, he's got a huge amateur career or a hidden career that nobody really knows about, shows up in the United States, you take a fight with the guy that appears green, and they go to work on you, and you get to see what it is you never knew about the person. But let's talk about this first fight. So on Extreme Fighting 1,
hang on. Okay.
They got moved. We're gonna do that. I got you. On November 18th, 1995 is when it was scheduled, and it was in Wilmington, North Carolina. But it was originally scheduled for New York.
That's
John,
right. Yeah.
John, would you take
not New York, Madison Square fucking Garden. That's what we had. we had Madison Square Garden until the UFC got wind of that and started their little campaign.
Take us through that.
Oh, I can't. Donald hooked that up. He got Madison Square Garden. I can't. I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, I fought in the Felt Forum, so I know how unbelievable, that was. And it was just going to be magnificent. And then we got blackballed.
Like how soon before the event do you guys have to move it to a completely different state?
I think we moved it twice to get to Wilmington. I think we ended up on that soundstage. I don't know. I don't remember.
Here, was it week of, or was it further out than that?
Oh no, it was so tight. It was stupid tight. I don't remember. Igor, do you remember anything?
I remember like I guess day before or something, because they get the buses and we sit in the bus, and after we said like we go to some New Jersey first, I guess, and they changed to North Carolina, something like this.
Yeah, okay. we were set to go. Was it Brooklyn?
No, not the Brooklyn, definitely not. No, we wasn't Manhattan. We wasn't Manhattan.
No, initially, but then we tried to move somewhere else, and then we ended up on a soundstage. Yeah.
Okay, Joey. So let's put this in a proper context. After weigh-ins, or maybe even weigh-in day, they take the event and they move it to North Carolina. Now, this is their first event. All brand new staff. There's a lot of moving parts, and you really don't know what what you refer to as what your bench looks like. That's nightmarish.
It was a horrible. The whole thing just got more and more horrible. I can't explain, what it was like for the fighters. I can't explain what it was like for me, for Zuckerman. I mean, there's no way that I would have the wherewithal to be able to do that. He was a fucking juggernaut. He was juggling satellite discs, and he was dishes, and he was, it just was unbelievable.
So, in essence, when something like this takes place, it is a Herculean blow to a company. And there's very few people in the world that can take an event in one state and move it to another and have all the moving parts come together within 24 hours, including getting an audience there.
And then you have to look at that and Extreme Fighting 2, where Extreme Fighting 2, you took it to a place which was legal, and they made it illegal, and they wouldn't let guys come in. And this was all this amazing, conjuring of experience and surrounding Extreme Fighting to crush it so that it was gone. And that was Meyerowitz's move. I mean, he did everything in his power to destroy us. The interesting part about it is Extreme Fightings 3 and 4 were so magnificent that I guess someone over there decided to look at me and see what I could do for them.
Yeah. Igor, as a fighter, was it difficult getting your game face on, sitting in New York, and then being told it's in one city and then another city?
Definitely yes, but it's like on me already, because it was so many times it was a cancellation, and you want to already like ending that stuff. You want to just get in the fight, and but I'm right now actually I'm just trying to just like realize like how much was definitely pressure, because I remember like when I see everybody nervous, of course everybody fighters nervous, and people get disappointed, and some people already not even believe something's going on, it's going to be the fight. So, and of course, but John, do you remember like I kind of like I maybe like I'm wrong. I guess that's from the Zuckerman. That was kind of staged. If we cancel New York, we have a backup plan.
Well, he always had a backup plan.
So that's what I
we
remember.
didn't.
That was a backup
We didn't
plan.
we didn't cancel New York. New York canceled us.
But that's what I remember, like some backup plan. I was like some kind of like
absolutely,
just kind of like a stick in my brain. And,
absolutely. Zuckerman is the hero of the whole deal.
Yeah. No, for fighters, yes, definitely. And it's really, really hard. But it's and that's I think maybe a lot of fights doesn't end in how it's maybe like supposed to be ending. It's like a lot of frustration. That's like a mental game. Like it's not totally mental game. But this is, you see, this is not a. That's how I understand. So it's not supposed to be a weakness of the fighters. All right. So, for example, hypothetically, I just explained you. Any judo tournament, right? So if you check your weight, right? So, for example, fight is today, right? In Russia. So I gotta check my weight in 2 hours. Sometimes if big tournaments, 2 hours. It's like a local tournaments, like 1 hour. They give you a break. And if you lose the weight like 20 pounds or put to like 25, right? You still got to fight right now in 1 hour. And you have to fight like a 5 if you just planning to win into 5, 6, 7 rolls to be the final. You go straight through. So that's a mentally and physically game. Okay, so exhaustion. All right, so it doesn't matter for the fighters who go through that stuff. For a lot of boxing, professional boxing, right? So amateur boxers are the same thing. You wait, and hour later you're gonna fight. So that's mean you didn't have that time to recover it. You didn't have time to put back that 20 pounds when you just lost. So now just all professional fighters, weight is today, tomorrow we gotta fight. So today you weight like 185, tomorrow you're gonna fight, you're 215. You put all water back, so just like already.
And these guys were on a bus.
Yeah, so it's, I don't know, it's right or don't right. It's right or don't right. So I don't know. So I mean, like, it's my personal opinion. I mean, if you, for example, fight in that weight category,
the heavy
you wait, you gotta go.
Yeah, the heavy
1 hour, 2 hours.
The heavy weight cutters would have issues in this instance due to the fact that they were on a bus.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Igor was not a heavyweight cutter.
No, I'm not.
But one of his opponents were.
Yeah, but you see, but it's so the lightweight guys, you know. For example, I remember like when we won IFL, right? Tim Kennedy. I mean, great fighter. It's absolutely great fighter. He get to fight 185 pounds, right? He's weight 215.
Yep.
He dropped that weight. Absolutely gorgeous. Get weight. Next day, show up. His neck like this, you know. He's like, he's like, you can't. His leg is like my two legs together, you know. So it's just go through. I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. It's rules, and he followed the rules. He's a genius, you know. He's great. I love him.
So when you on the administrative side, whenever you talk to the athletic commissioners and a guy like the example you give, Tim Kennedy comes along, they say they have it dialed in so perfectly that they touch that weight for just a half of a second, and then they're right back up, and they got it down to a complete science. Yeah, they just like taps.
Kenny Monday.
Yeah,
I mean, he was the genius of wrestling for losing weight.
I mean, he's
absolute
great.
Genius.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's fucking mind blowing.
Here's my question. Okay, you're moving on a day or 2 days' notice. You get to Wilmington. How did you fill the arena with an audience. I mean, you can't.
What I did is I looked at the POV of the cameras and then pulled the audience to the section that you could see.
Really,
Moved
it was
everybody
pretty
down in their seats to fill the audience.
all right.
That's the truth. There was
Well,
nobody
what-
there.
Wow. All right, John, I got to ask this. Why is Mr. T on the DVD cover of the Extreme Fighting One?
Those Donald sold those rights so they could put what they wanted on there. You know, I guess that was their choice. You know, Mr. T and his moo was not to be on the cover of
his
Extreme
gold
Fighting.
his gold plated cutlery and eating ware. Yes.
He used to go to Macy's or Maze or whatever the fuck, and to get moo-moos. I mean, that was his thing in the women's section.
He was the most famous guy. He was the most famous guy on the broadcast. I guess they just figured face recognition would be a good guy
Really?
out there.
I don't know that answer.
No. I watched Extreme Fighting One yesterday. He's not on that broadcast.
Okay, he was on the pay-per-view.
He may have been on the pay-per-view.
He was.
Okay.
He was interviewing fighters after their fights. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. Yes.
That was his job. Yeah.
He got caught off of the video I watched yesterday.
Yeah,
Swear to God, he's
yeah.
not on there.
I totally
couple
forgot
things.
about that. Yeah.
I watched
Anyway,
the same video
he
as
was-
you did, and there were some things missing.
Okay.
He was a wannabe tough guy. You know, he did what he did, and
Well, he's from the south side of
made
Chicago.
one show.
He's from
He
the
made
south
one
side of
show.
Chicago. So I think you need to slow down a little bit.
I heard you the first time.
Fair enough. All right, Joey, let's go
Okay.
through this card.
So, I watched the same card you watched yesterday, and I've got your notes. But Mr. T's not the only thing that got cut out of the video we watched. The first fight of the broadcast was actually Alfonso Alcarez versus Robert Loyer, a lightweight match. So that
Yeah.
wasn't on the YouTube one.
I really
That was the
liked
first fight.
Alfie. Alfie was real interesting kickboxer too.
Well, he was a well-rounded guy because he was a college wrestler too, right?
But I don't remember what division he was. But yeah, he was fun to train with, by the way.
So it's supposedly kickboxer versus kickboxer. Alfonso shoots a double leg real quick and ends the fight on the ground. And that was the first fight of the night. Then it brings us up to our introduction of Ralph Gracie. That's Ralph Gracie.
You see right there, the start of the show. If you're right fucking there, does not go the way I want it to go.
Well, not the way you wanted it to go, but the way
You see what I'm
called
saying,
it.
Igor? Like you get these two great kickboxers, who walk out there and then the show does not right off. I'm shaking my head just listening to you guys right now going, oh fuck, I remember that.
Now, I'll give a little credit to your commentary at risk of being called a sycophant again, but in the broadcast, you called it right off the bat. You said he's not in a kicking stance. He's not going to be kicking. I think he's going to go for the tackle. Boom, he hits a double leg right when you said
And there it is. And and Meyerowitz took me off the air as color for being able to do that.
Where I think
Igor's not laughing because he knows I see shit before it happens.
So let me kind of expand on that. So in essence, at this time, mixed martial arts is very new, and the level of education for a fan, any single time, like on the regional scene, a fight would go to the ground, people would boo, or they wouldn't understand, or they'd be clueless. And your ability to kind of understand what was taking place, I think rather than them taking you out of the broadcast booth, if they would have said, if you can just phrase it this way or give that angle or this angle while explaining it to the fans, because you were so much more intelligent than everybody sitting at home watching it on the couch. That's my personal.
Bob Meyerowitz said to me, "It looks like you've seen the fight before."
Yes.
And I said, "But Bob, it's live."
All right, so the first one didn't go the way you wanted. You wanted a banger, and instead you got
Yeah, just both those guys were just so good at what they did. It didn't go exactly like I thought it would.
Alfonso goes on to fight in the UFC and get a draw against Jens Pulver, so that's the level that he was. He was clearly a talented fighter.
Oh fuck! You know what it's like standing in there against somebody like him? He's fucking great.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, next fight up, Ralph Gracie, obviously black belt, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he fights Makoto Muraoka, who claims to be an expert shoot wrestling champion and also trains with Benny the Jet.
Well, I don't know how much training he did with Benny, but he knew enough to be able to move. But Ralph just intimidated the shit out of him.
So Makoto never fights again. He goes 0-1, even though he's listed as, let's see, I think he's listed as like 8-0. Let me take a look.
Yeah, 8-0.
Yeah, he's listed as 8-0. Ralph Gracie's listed as 12-0 and the 1993 Vale Tudo champion. But Makoto never fights again. Like, that was kind of surprising.
I don't know. I think he really, Health was intimidating. I guess he just, I don't know what happened. He was talented. Not many people, it was a very hard job to find guys to fight Health. Where 5 years later, 3 years later, it would have been, I could have lined 10 up to beat him.
So do you get Makoto from the Pancrase organization? How do you line that up?
I think so. I know Phyllis Lee had a in the Pancrase, but
That's it.
I can't find it in my head, where I pulled from.
I guarantee
it was a very difficult job.
Phyllis was in the corner of a couple of fighters that night, Gary Meyer being one of them. It would make sense that if he came from Japan, that's her returning a favor in regards to the Pancrase organization. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember, but
did you see Hyen backstage?
I don't recall.
Did you ever deal with Hyen?
No.
Igor, did you ever deal with Hyen Gracie or Ralph, like on a level to where you guys may have shared the same mat?
No.
The Gracies were very clandestine in their training. They did locked room stuff. But if you look at the thing for extreme fighting, that's me rolling around with Health on videos.
Actually, when Gracie's could remember, to try to just train, so they remove everyone so from that, so they kind of like a private mats for them, so they took some timeout. How I remember that. So nobody want to see the secrets. Yeah,
They learned that from the Chinese. All the little secret rooms to be able to teach the secret leg locks of jiu-jitsu.
So Gokor was the referee.
Gokor.
Yeah, that's my fault. Gene pleaded with me to put him in, and the scale of his arrogance, I didn't get at the time. And then he gave this card to the ring announcer without my knowledge or consent. And it listed 500 fucking fights that he had, and this and champion that and champion this, and it was all bullshit.
5 times
on my show, which was not bullshit.
They called him the 5-time bare knuckle no rules world champion. That's what they called him.
And I had no idea that going to do that, and I couldn't fucking believe it. But I had a lot on my mind, and it got past me. That's my fault. Gokor being there is my fault. That was payback for Gene, and that was my fault.
Did you think that Gokor was, I don't know, clueless being there?
I thought he was ignorant as a referee, but no, he's not clueless. In fact, I just had such a hard time with him right from the get-go, right from the first moment I met him, you know.
Okay, wait, because I mean that was kind of a setup on my end. You said several times throughout the event that he knows exactly what he is doing. Are your issues with Gokor from outside of the ring, do you think, or do you think it's a combination of the two?
No, my issues with him are all about his personality and his inability to be a referee. I don't know him outside of his ring, you know, of the ring. You know, he's Armenian. I don't speak Armenian. You know, I don't have a relationship with Armenians at the time. So I don't know anything about him, you know, except that his arrogance was unbelievable. And you know, when I first went to the camp, Gene's camp, he had walked in and he was showing this roundhouse kick picture that someone took of him. And it was incredibly, it was just so arrogant, and I just had a hard time with him. But for Gene, I just saw, and I thought he could be a good referee because he knew so many finishing holds. He knew just so many things about his version of the ground, and I thought he could be a good referee. But I don't know, he was blinded by his own vision of himself or something, and he just couldn't see the fight in front of him.
Okay, Igor, what's your opinion on Gokor?
I didn't know him a lot, yeah, but that's for description. He was nice to me, and we roll. Once I roll with him, I roll with his students and Gene students, and yeah, he tried. We didn't exchange some stuff. Let's say nobody win. Roll like normal. So because I was in somebody's school, I don't want to upset anyone. Let's say that. So I make it draw. I make it draw usually. When I go just seriously, when I just go into somebody's school, I'm always roll nice, just let people do some stuff and just work.
So you have a Japanese style of practice. In other words, you say
Probably,
play dumb.
Yes.
But you're gathering information and
I got information. I can resist. I can stop. So basically, I let people work. It's really hard work, but we basically in the same a 0-0. Let's say that. Okay. So I can for example, get someone for example in a totally choke right now and a release. I let it go. I put in the guillotine and I'm just losing grip and let it go. Or just with the armbar and just same thing, let it go. So I'm making some kind of points for myself. I can finish it and let it go. But some people see somebody, some not.
That's good shit.
Yeah,
Joey, at this point in the event, the 1995 Penthouse Pet of the Year, Gina Lamarka makes her round around the ring. You guys,
you got the UFC beat on the ring card girls at this point. I'll give you that.
Yeah, for sure.
No, let's back up. The UFC had nothing on that show.
They didn't have ring card girls?
Nothing. They had nothing on that show. You can't compare the UFC's spectacle to the beginning sport of mixed martial arts.
Joey,
I can't. I don't.
I'm just
Joey.
trying to give you a point. We're talking about ring card girls, and I'm saying the point goes to you. That's all. I didn't say all
Joey.
the other points go the other way.
It's just the way you said it.
It's
That's all.
insulting. It's insulting, John, right?
Mike.
I
All
will
right.
say, Joey, for our listeners at home that don't understand what a magazine is, where would you put Penthouse as compared to Playboy?
That'd be kept in the bathroom, probably. Or in a gym bag in your closet that your mom definitely isn't going to go through. That's where Penthouse would be kept.
Yeah, so Playboy was more like prestigious, and then like Penthouse was more like B-hole type stuff, right? Can we agree on that?
Straddling the line between Playboy and Hustler. That's what Penthouse was. They were right in between those two. That's what I've read. I don't know. That's what I've read.
With these buses, John, these penthouse women, there's no way they were on the same bus as these fighters. There's absolutely no way.
No, they didn't. Those girls didn't connect with those guys until after the show.
What's after the show? I don't remember that. What's after the show?
I heard Rudyard Moncayo had a good time.
Joey,
Rudyard Makoto, and my referee Donahue, and others,
Hallelujah.
and others, and married others.
I have no comments on that. Joey, let's move on.
All right.
No,
Fight two, according to the notes and the show we watched. We finally get our friend Igor Zinoviev fighting a guy named Harold German. Harold German is a Golden Gloves boxing champion who actually fought as recently as like a year ago in some charity boxing. So he stayed in boxing his whole life.
Oh, nice.
And, yeah.
Nice, very good.
So Harold German was an alternate.
Yeah,
because Harold German couldn't make weight. Harold German was light for the fight because we lost.
We are supposed to fight with somebody else.
Yeah, I can't remember right now who I lost. You were supposed to fight a kickboxer.
No. That's another day, another time.
No, not Orlando. I just don't remember right now, and there's no point watching me suffer with smoke coming out of my ears.
Fair enough. So Igor Zinoviev is listed at 15-0. He weighed in at 187 pounds.
Wait, Igor, do you remember who you're supposed to fight?
No, I don't. I remember
it was not Harold German.
No. Because Harold German talked to me. We talked, remember that? And we just laughing at the sit and that, and suddenly when we get in the fight, I was like, oh, we're gonna fight. I was like, oh crap.
Harold German listed at 17-0, 168 pounds. So Igor, at this point, you're listening.
This guy, and by the way, he could really box.
Yeah, no, I believe you. Yeah, for sure. You guys are both New York guys, and Igor, you're the 1995 Empire State Games winner. That's a pretty big judo tournament here in the United States at that time. Right?
That's right. Yeah.
Harold German was slated to fight 6 months prior. John, you said that, and he missed weight. Where was he supposed to fight? Was that the original date of Extreme Fighting 1, 6 months prior?
I think it was longer than that. Igor, what do you think?
Good question.
I mean, we were so prepared to go, and it dropped because those idiots did Woodstock 2 and lost $47 million in one night. I can't say. It sounds short. There's no way I think Donald would have been able to get us backing, so on and so forth, in 6 months. It's possible. It's a Zuckerman question.
Okay, good. So, Igor, you're going to the ring. It's a tournament, obviously for a title. You knew that coming in.
Yeah.
But I didn't crazy travel issues.
I didn't know which who are gonna fight. Basically, I have no idea which who are gonna fight. And
So John, you as a matchmaker, did this person fall off like at the event, or did they fall off like a few days prior? Oh my God, those are the worst to fill. Holy shit. You're already dealing with a change of venue? Oh my God.
And, I wish I would have really taken notes of all the scumbags that fucking didn't show up at.
Holy fuck.
And then there was a whole series of fucking people who decided that they were going to fight, and then the Ultimate bought them off. Did you hear me? Is this mic on?
We got to get
bought them off. So it gave them more money to not show up than they would have made if they fought. Talk about adversity.
That took years off of your life. Yeah, it would. I mean, I've been a promoter. I mean, I promoted for 20 plus years. That's the type of shit that takes years off of your life. Yeah. Wow. Igor, you had Victor Tatarkin in your corner.
Tatarkin, yes.
Fellow, current, is he like a Sambo head now?
He's Sambo guy, yeah. He plays Sambo judo, yeah.
But he's got a national position with Sambo currently. Am I off on that?
It's really hard to say. I tell you probably before the last time when I interview everyone, I'm not tracking. I'm just trying to trust people, right? So what people says. But a lot of people who came from Russia, they claim in the European champion, world champion, all kind of status, and basically, I mean, players, but it's not that high level. But everybody want to be high level.
Roman Zinder is the current person in charge of Sambo in the United States. Roman Zinder, Zinder.
It's Meyerowicz's friend.
Was he really?
Yeah.
He had like a gray crew cut.
Right? Yeah.
I remember him.
He who brought Taktarov. Yeah. Also,
that's right. Thank you. That's right.
So Roman actually owes me a favor right now, and I'm trying to get Barclev. For an interview. I figure if anybody knows where he's at, it's got to be him. So moving on. Yeah. So Tarkin, is he a good friend of yours? Good rolling partner?
I mean, it's all right. Yes. I mean, we're not really close friends. Yeah, we train on the same facility. We roll around. Yeah, do some stuff. So, funny story. You want a funny story? Seriously?
Of course.
Yeah. All right. So, because we sit, but maybe I say already just tell you that story, no? So we sit on the bathhouse after, in a gym in a Brighton Beach. So after, and just take some a nice steam room, right? So and some guy, I sit in the head, and some guy just gives stories, how he trained me, how he trained me from the kids, and raised me and everybody look at me and I was just let him talk. And after that, so I left. I said, I go home. I can't hear that crap anymore.
Was he a good kid? Was he a good kid? Well, tell me about it. Yeah.
When I left, it's so funny. People just say, do you know who just was here? He's like, who? He's like, that was Igor Zinoviev, by the way, with the guy who you trained. And you not don't recognize him. That was funny part, So a lot of people talking a lot, so who is right? Like a Taktarov also. He's claiming he's like a Russian champion also. It's he's not. So I mean, he's okay fighters also, but it's not. It's a lot of great fighters there. I mean, be the Russian champion, and it's
But there's only one. There's only one. You know what I mean? There was a lot of jiu-jitsu champions, but there's only one.
crazy. Seriously, it's I mean, like seriously, it's almost like impossible because
Do you
you know,
remember, Igor?
one-
Do you remember? You remember the two Russian guys that came in to
Yes,
109
yes,
West
yeah, yeah,
26th
yeah, yeah,
Street? They were
yeah, yeah.
Russian jiu-jitsu guys, and they wanted to train. They wanted to try out and this and that and this. And I rolled with them, and one guy was my size. And you know, they had all these accolades and stuff also, you know, and they all this like Kali Molly kind of, you know, knife shit and all kinds of shit. So I mean, the people that came through in New York City through that school, it was unbelievable from all over the world, including him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Zinoviev, Igor. Yeah. So Igor, you win. Well, you open the fight with the first off. When they pan the camera to you, you've got that traditional cold Russian stare. Like it's here in the United States, the people from here, when you can pick out that Russian stare, it's something they do in movies quite a bit, and you're checking all of the boxes for that stone cold serial killer, and you start the fight very fast. Very fast. Was
Too
this
fast
because
for the camera. Too
Yes.
fast for the cameraman.
That's true.
were you doing this because you knew you were in a tournament and you tried to get through this first guy as quick as
Yes,
possible?
of course, because you know, like if I just start be play rolling, I know, like first of all, I don't even just planning to really kind of make it like a big damage. Just have to go through fast, 1, 2, 3, because you know, like if you got an injury, I already was injured before that. My rib was cracking before, and my knee was bad. So my arms was already. I was like too much kind of like small problems, but I know they can be effective. Yeah. So and I just try to avoid that problem to get any different injuries. Yeah, but when after that, when I just started my Sperry, he started complaining, and they cut my tapes in my arm, you know, because he's like, because my arm is gonna be like a hammer. When I cut the tape, you know, like, and I have a fracture on my my wrist over here, so just big time, you know. So it's yeah.
Well, you ended the fight throwing about 15 unanswered punches to his head.
Yeah, well,
it was violent. It was very, very violent.
But it just, yeah.
Like very quick. Like it's a very violent fight. Very, very fast beginning to end, and very little emotion before. I think that's where the viewer here gets fooled. Like Half Gracie is, panting like a wild animal, to where you're just like, okay, ring the bell, and then you're a tornado, and then after the fight, you're back to, being cool again. It's very interesting.
Very Russian.
Very Russian.
Did you see, if you see K1 fights and Muay Thai, they used to be in same tournaments, if you remember that. So the fighters start from the bottom, and when they fight to the finals, right, if the ability people who can stay on the ring, because in the final they already can't even kick, their legs are completely out, they beat up, they basically ready, like people want to just survive. All right, so it's I guess that's maybe knowledge, just to be like fast and spend less energy and prepare for the next fight.
More recovery. Yeah, more recovery.
You jumped on a couple of leg locks early, and surprisingly, Harold seemed to defend. He wasn't clueless down there. Did that surprise you?
It's it was my mistake. I didn't do the right thing, so.
Wow. Yeah, big stage too. Joey, moving on.
All right, next fight, we've got our guy Gary Myers fighting Tom Glanville, who is on all the supplements. He looked like the reason we need drug testing later on in the sport. I mean, he looked like he's out of a movie.
But just let me just straighten something out, Joey. The late Thomas Glanville.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just before you get wound up over there, let me just chop the tree down. Okay.
Well,
He was really
like
nice guy. Really nice guy. Trained really hard. Personal friend of John Lewis.
Thank you. J-Sex. A J-Sex guy, yes.
Handsome.
Yeah,
Joey
he was
really
like a poster
handsome.
boy.
You can relate to that, right, Joey?
Yeah,
I used to be able to.
Well, John, just so you know, I knew this was going to happen, like you correcting like somebody in this, and I'm glad Joey's on the receiving end, which is why I suggested to Joey that he read the fights off for this interview. But go ahead.
Well,
but I'm glad.
You should have got his name right on the notes. His name is Glanville, not Grandville. So okay.
Thomas Glanville.
I was, to be honest with you, Joey, I was hoping that you weren't going to catch that. So, so John at that moment would jump on you. But go ahead.
Anyway, he's a tough guy. He fought Gary Myers twice and actually had a better showing in the second one. But anyway, this fight against Gary Myers, take it away, guys. What do you remember?
God.
Gary's out of shape. He's a big, strong guy. I wouldn't say he's technically, ferocious. Glanville was a really good stand-up fighter, and was also doing jiu-jitsu with Lewis. I think that what I liked about Myers always was he was a juggernaut. He charged, he got all jacked up and, was ready to go his angry minute. And I always liked that about Gary.
Yeah, he liked to make mean faces. Yeah, Gary Meyer. And fantastic. We did a fantastic interview with him. He's coaching high school wrestling now. Gary listed at 150-1. He's 6-time gold medal winner. And Glanville was a 1992 world kickboxing champion. Phyllis Lee also used to manage Gary Myers. Phyllis is one of those people, just an interesting woman. It's unfortunate she doesn't, there's not more about her out there.
I know a lot about her, though. We were close. Phyllis, I liked Phyllis a lot. And so many fighters ripped her off and abused her.
I think she was a hard person to steal from.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you're referring to, but from what I know of Phyllis is that she lived, very poorly on pennies, and she was pretty desperate her whole life.
Yes, pro wrestler from the carnival circuit. Made her way to Japan on more than one occasion, made some fantastic contacts there, and later became the only United States person outside of the Shamrocks in order to get you a fight over there in the Pancrase organization. From there, June 1995, Penthouse, Pet Elizabeth Hilden makes her ring around. Fight
Back to the fight for just a second. Tom Glanville landed 2 good leg kicks on Gary Myers, the second of which buckled him. So he didn't go out quietly. He did have some skills. He gave a good showing while they were on their feet, at least.
I like Gary.
Yeah, no, I like Thomas. He was a poster boy for this new sport. I mean, if he had just a little more skills or like, better friends like other fighters had later, he could have been promoted much further.
Yeah, he was marketable.
Really nice guy.
Joe?
All right, next fight, we get to see the Zen Machine, Mario Sperry, fighting against Rudyard Moncayo. Obviously, go ahead.
Yeah, John, the one thing I have is obviously you're somebody that's very well versed in the sport, and Rudyard Moncayo gets announced as 7-0, but he lost at UFC 6 to Pat Smith, like 4 months prior.
Yeah, and you know, and I know both those guys really well. I know Rudy really, 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 really well. And Pat Smith, you know, I actually ended up coaching him against Butterbean in that debacle show.
Yama. Yeah.
There you go. Yama pit fighting. Remember
Yes.
Igor, the name? Yama.
Yama, yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so Rudy Moncayo is I trained with him all the time. In fact, when we went to Gene's, you know, Rudy would go with me all the time, and it's a really hard fight for Rudy.
You know, Rudy did reverse him at one point, and Mario Sperry was announced as somebody. You know, to Mario's credit, first off, he was announced as 272-0. But when they gave a kind of quib in regards to who he was, it said 1995 Brazilian champion and 18-0 real fights. So he kind of gets dumped on for what the announcer announced him as, or the ring announcer said he was. But he seemed pretty upfront about being 18-0 in real fights. Carlson,
but that's Carlson's. That wasn't Mario's mistake. That's Carlson's mistake.
Okay.
You know, Carlson made this hype and glory numbers. Mario did not.
Carlson Gracie in his corner, Victor Gracie, Vitor Belfort, as well as Conan. At this time, it was announced that Mario Sperry had a reputation of winning in under 2 minutes.
I don't recall that.
Okay.
I mean, Mario Sperry could let a fight go on as long as he wanted it to go on. You know.
You know, John, to your credit, after this fight, Mario Sperry finishes Rudyard. After the Sperry is super calm, and John, you're jumping out of your seat, stating we're going to see Sperry versus Zinoviev, which might be the greatest fight in 199-pound fight history. Which at that time
was I wrong?
No, you fucking called it, dude. Yeah, you called it. Yeah. You know, John, and I don't mean to kind of go back. At one point, your co-host, what's his name? Dave Bonatempo said Bontempo made a reference that Trevor Berbick fought in one of these fights before.
I don't know.
Okay. In Japan, and he got leg kicked repeatedly and jumped out of the ring and quit.
I didn't know that. I thought that was after this. I thought he was referring to one of those underground fights that Igor had mentioned in his previous interview with us.
I don't know anything about Igor's underground fights, but I do know that there was a lot of hokey shit going on in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Dave Bontempo knew nothing. You know, I mean,
it's clear. It was clear.
I mean, he knew nothing, but I mean, he knew as much nothing as some of the nothing knowers from the UFC.
Igor, you're in the locker room. You see Mario Sperry win his fight. You know that's your next opponent. What's going through your head?
Oh, believe it or not, so I'm not even watching it. I'm not even watching that fight. I was kind of like I was so tired, and just warm up and just be ready for the fight. I remember that. So basically, I don't know what I have to expect it. That's why. And so I know he's like a jiu-jitsu, and I know it's going to be really tough. And what's going on in my head? Oh. It's a lot of different stuff, but I know somebody have to step out from the ring by yourself. I know that it's going to be like this, or me or him. So it's but during the fight, actually, you know, just was a little different. Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Okay.
But
Joey,
but on,
We'll get to that one. We'll get to that one. You're the main
yeah, yeah,
event.
yeah.
We'll cover that fight.
Yeah, no, but on
But-
locker room, yeah, I remember that. So I was like, kind of like, I was kind of adrenaline popped up and a little nervous, of course, you know. I ran to the bathroom a couple times, just to the pee, you know, like usually this happened. And that's all, you know.
Joey.
All right. The next fight up, we get to see Conan Silveira, 26-0 reportedly, fighting Victor Tatarkin, 46-3.
So there's another fight that was a standby fight there. Because Victor was not up to weight.
No, he was not. Not the one that close.
So again, I don't remember who backed out on that fight. It's a white guy. See, here's the problem, and I mean, Wormy should have told you this, but as soon as you release the card, the Ultimate goes after the card and then starts paying people off not to show up.
Holy shit. Dude.
So it's the compression of time that you don't really understand. That you have a guy who's supposed to show up the day before and doesn't.
Well,
And yeah, I have alternates, but still, first of all, the whole fucking amateur format of a tournament. As soon as I became co-executive producer and got rid of what the fuck was his name, the tournament was gone because that's not a professional format.
It's good to crown a champion that way, though. At this point in time,
That's your opinion.
Well, you had mentioned that the Ultimate Fighting Championship is going to be targeting people when you release a card. They obviously knew what Carlson guys were on the card and what Gracie's were.
But those guys had integrity.
That was the difference.
I'll say it again. The Carlson Gracie guys had integrity.
Yeah, Senior's one of my life heroes. Yeah, he really is. He is. So Victor is 37 years old, advertised as a Sambo world champion. Conan, the interesting thing about Conan is when I interviewed Conan, one of our first that we did, he said that although he worked out with the Carlson Gracie team, he was not technically a member, even though he's got the Bulldogs tattooed on his back. And Carlson gifted him a school in Miami right around this time.
Okay.
It's just strange. I mean, they obviously have a very good relationship as well.
It seems so.
I got to re-listen to that interview. I hope I didn't misquote. I got to re-listen to it, but I remember that standing out in my head. Conan Silveira makes due of your training partner. Stacy Moran is the next penthouse ring card girl. Dude, that was my favorite back in the day. Like, she was my go-to for everybody.
And that girl could dance.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she could dance, and it was amazing.
Joey,
we went out and partied together.
Congratulations there. All right. Next fight up, we get to see Carlson Gracie Jr. He's claiming he's 8-0 versus John Lewis. Now, I got a question. This is the last of the lightweight fights. Was there any reason you didn't do a 4-man tournament for the lightweights? Instead, there were just 3 single lightweight matches.
It could have been because we lost people. It also could have been because I didn't want a tournament. I don't remember.
You know what, Joey? Let me counter that. I can tell you why. It's definitely not going to include this because Half would be on one side and Carlson Jr. would be on the other side, technically speaking.
Yeah, so Carlson Jr. was really my real focus because I really thought that Carlson Jr. Was and Lewis was going to be a really, really, really important fight.
And I think this fight was announced as the title fight. Am I wrong on that?
Of course, and that's because of Lewis's relationship with me, and that guy's in that picture right there, and his relationship with me. There's a title involved.
Gotcha.
It was a draw. Yeah.
But
go ahead, Igor.
But yeah, the fight was absolutely great. I remember that. So, but I thought originally have to be 3 weight categories: light, middle, and heavy, like John made it, and that's how it's supposed to be the whole tournament. And I understand when the show lose a couple fighters, they become a little messed up and they become a little messy. So
that's correct.
And when John and Zuckerman try to save the show, try to make something, but in the future kind of build it up better. So I that's what I think. Like I'm thinking right now, that's what happens. Just like memorize my
the other thing is that you have to understand how long I planned this for. There were guys who I thought were going to be just incredible and didn't show, or the match was going to be incredible and it didn't happen, or so on and so forth. I mean, this is all playing out in a matchmaker's mind who was trying to create a sport.
Yeah, because I remember what happens when we train with John. So the John mentioned that days is going to be not one fight. It's going to be maybe 3, 4, maybe 5 fights like you do in judo, but it's going to be different. It's kind of like almost like an unlimited time, because and that's how we prepare. So we train nonstop. We're jumping from one to another one. So basically, John almost like draw me to the pool to carry to some other stuff to 2 or 3 guys, 2 or 3 guys jumping on me and just do it. I was exhausted completely. And on the top of that, in the end, we have to drill in some kind of drill when your head have to be clear. And I mean, a totally cold and clear mind, so.
John Lewis, you guys call it the John Lewis rule shortly after this, because he's grabbing the cage inside, outside, over.
Well, the John Lewis rule was a joke, of course, but it was a joke on John. But he overhooked the fence and then grabbed it. So I would actually, when I gave briefings for the show for the fighters, I would actually have somebody like hold their arm out, and I would like reach over it and hook it, and then said, and the John Lewis rule. But it wasn't illegal at the time.
Was that part of his strategy going in? It certainly seemed that way.
I don't know, but the point is that John Lewis was really a mixed martial artist. John Lewis was a guy who could do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and comes from this and comes from that, and did a little of this and that. I mean, he was a mixed martial artist. So John Lewis was going to fight that guy in a non-jujitsu way. I thought it was strategically great, and it was absolutely legal for him to do that at the time. Thereafter, it was absolutely illegal.
I will say, I mean, it is a 30-minute draw. I will say Carlson Gracie, Jr. and Senior, both accepted it. It wasn't like there was a lot of complaining on one end or the other. I mean, they were just, hey, man, good play, good play. They shook his hand.
Which is rare for Brazilians, in my experience.
Yeah. Or Armenians, from what I gather. I don't know. They always seem very rational.
So rare. But they had integrity.
I like Senior. I mean, I'm a fan. I'm not even going to try to pretend like I'm not. September 1993, Andi Sue Irwin, the penthouse pet, makes her walk around the ring. Joey,
Any stories? Any stories about that one?
she's smoking hot, dude.
I think she's the one, and I think that Tom whatchamacallit was in the room. I think she's the one that that I was wrestling with on the bed, and then she smoked some pot, and then she threw up. I had to put her over my shoulder and take her to her room, and she was throwing up down my back. I think that was the one.
A lot of guys will let that slide.
Igor, I stalked her Instagram. She goes to a lot of rock concerts. Still looks good. Still looks good. Joey, for research.
I didn't have that experience, so I can say that.
Tommy, our cinematographer, Tommy Sowards, who did Extreme Fighting 2 documentary. Yeah, he was in the room. Oh, and Rudy Moncayo was in the room. And now I'm seeing all the suspects in the room. And it could have easily gotten very out of hand.
All right, the next fight is the first of the two finals. This one's Gary Myers versus Conan
Title fight
for the championship. Yep. What do you guys remember about that one?
Yes, I remember that.
Tell me.
I think Gary Myers got a raw deal.
I think so too. That stand up.
So in essence, headbutt landed. I think.
Who's the referee?
Gokor.
Yeah.
Essentially, yep. Gary Myers hustling. He's really working, taking top position.
He always hustled, though. Gary Myers always came to play.
Yeah, and especially if he was the upper hand, like if he's on top, like that's where he needs to be. It's jiu-jitsu defense and heavy wrestling. And when a doctor came to look at the cut of Silveira, it just stood it right back up. Like it was right towards Silveira's game. And I tell you, the doctor you guys had at this event was fantastic because it was a deep cut. Granted,
deep cut, yeah.
It was on the eyebrow. Some doctors today get a little spooky about that.
Be like,
they would 100%. They would have stopped it, but your doctor was one of the first real ones in the sport. Thank you, Igor.
Yeah,
that was good. Right. Good play. Igor, what do you remember? I mean, you're watching that fight.
I remember that. Yes, I remember that. I was like, "Oh, that's a deep cut." I was like, "Gee," and Doc, just let the fight. It's fine. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gary's a little bit tired. He takes a shot he shouldn't have taken, gets stuck in a guillotine, and I remember him kicking the cage. He was so mad after tapping out. He thought he got a raw deal with the stand-up.
Yeah.
Again, I could just tell you, everybody has a clock, and everybody cannot go and go and go.
Let me play devil's advocate here. In the rule set, like you guys don't really go over the rules. Headbutts, were they legal or illegal?
Headbutts were illegal.
Illegal.
Well, then Gokor made the right call. He had the doctor check on a foul because it was a headbutt. It absolutely a headbutt caused that. Gokor made the right call.
Yeah, but a headbutt can be just, like so many times when you see the boxer match, when people just going around, you just go up, just cut it in the right position, like, or just elbows, and you just cut is cut, I mean, like, just butt him like this, right? So that's illegal. That's what we do. That's what he was doing.
The aftermath of it is there's a cut.
Yeah,
I will say that Gokor really knew what he was doing. Sorry,
really?
Just quoting John Perretti. John Perretti. Go ahead, Joe.
All right, last fight of the night. Our guest Igor Zinoviev goes against Mario Sperry. We've been alluding to the fight the whole episode. It's obviously one of the best 199-pound fights ever.
Perretti,
what you remember?
Perretti, wait, hold up. Perretti was like a child on Christmas morning.
Worse. I was like on meth.
Yeah.
Even at the end, I say heavyweight champion, middleweight champion. I don't really care. I'm so fucking confused at that point in time.
Igor, bring us through
Yes.
it, buddy. Bring us through it, buddy. Oh, hold up, dude. You got fucking Mario Sperry, 80cc Hall of Famer, a guy that the kings of Abu Dhabi couldn't afford to pay Rickson enough money. Guys that make it like rain in the sky in the desert once a week, they couldn't afford Rickson's price point to do a jiu-jitsu match against your opponent.
Well, you see, I didn't know that. Maybe if I know that, maybe that's really scare me for real. But it's mystery is good. I love it. It's always when you see the devil, just you kind of found a way what to do. But what surprised me, basically, when they throw me down, right? And I was not really expect that. I think I was going to be really reverse. But at that point, I was like, when he gets so tight, I was like, oh crap. It's like, because I know I can't move. I was like, okay. So, and from that point, we start rolling, we just standing up again. And I was like, when the first time I was standing up, I was like, okay, let's shake my arms so I can do it again. And I already started think a little different. So I would just see the fight different coming in. I was like, okay, so it's like now we're not playing. We are really fighting. So that was different. And one actually, or some moment, it's probably already possibly like 10, 11 minutes. I was so tired. He was so tired too also. And he barely breathing. I was same thing, and was in my brain. I was like, do I have to give up? I was like, no. Yeah, I'm not gonna give up. He probably gonna kill me, but I'm not gonna give up. So that's get from my brain. So that's
let me help with this a little bit. The one thing that really stood out was look how they announced Mario Sperry in the beginning in his first fight. A man known for finishing people under 2 minutes. So you're talking about a guy that I'm sure is in phenomenal shape. But the longer that fight goes, the more the teeter-totter goes your way, just based on that stat alone.
Yeah, but don't misunderstand it. Mario Sperry is a really experienced fighter, and he not gets out. He not in a rush to finish it right away, right? He know the game. Well, it's my thing. I'm a counter also, and I'm just use a power and just boost some other things. All right, so I move around that too. So I just do like reflection. I just playing that. So I'm not gonna just if somebody throw me jab, I'm not expecting to throw the jab too. Okay, I'm not throwing anything. So if we start pair up, like most of the time you see the boxers kind of like jab, boom, another one, boom, you go left, right, boom, another one, left, right. Somebody kick, somebody got to kick too. I'm not gonna do that. You can do it. So I have my plan. You have your plan. So I want to see what you do and how you do, and I want to how I'll open you.
John Perretti, you got that fight on the. I mean, it's coming. You know it's coming, and you called it before anybody else even knew what it was. You were calling it this is the best fight available at this point, at this weight class. Period.
Yeah.
How do you get to that point? Like, how are you so far ahead of everybody else in regards to your understanding of who's who and where they're at? I mean, you're talking about Zinoviev, like you worked out with Zinoviev. I get that. Sperry was a relative unknown here, to us.
My emergence into this was head over heels. I've been, a failed, karate guy, a failed kickboxer, a beginning grappler. But my emergence into the sport, because I've been thinking about it for so long, essentially, in my mind, I even though 20 years past my prime, wanted to be the best fighter in the world. I had to create a sport to do it, actually two. But but of course I couldn't live up to it anymore, what I wanted, but I understood what it took to be well-rounded. A guy like Zinoviev comes in with like all these experientials, they're huge. Even Lewis, comes in with some of this and some of that and some of this and some of that and has that hunger. Well, I had that 10 years before these guys. And I'm not saying that I could do what I wanted to do to certain people, because most of the time, I couldn't, but I knew what this was going to take. I really did. And I was so dedicated to doing it. And Zuckerman gave me that leeway to do it, and support and friendship to do it. And of course, I put my money into it also. But I really knew in my mind, what the composite was, what it took to create this thing called mixed martial arts.
Yeah, the masterpiece. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys got it. We're going to pin the video at the top of the comments. This is a fucking masterpiece, man. Like it's an absolute masterpiece. And Igor, you say Mario was taking his time and he was a well-conditioned athlete. The turn of the tide was, one, you were having a lot of issues with him. But as you said, he was taking his time. And that clock, the time was mounting up and up and up. Mario decides to try to jump over your back.
Yes.
And he took a risk that under normal circumstances, you don't need to take something like that. I have a feeling he understood that he was getting into deep water and was just taking a chance to try to finish you. And how do you respond with that? Do you remember?
Okay. All right. Absolutely. Yes. So this story make you probably crazy. So when I'm standing up, right? If you remember that, right? I'm just staying by the cage, right? And he's trying to punch, try to be uppercut, right? So one, and I move my head away. So what I do in that particular moment, one of my rib is popped out, okay? So, and I can't breathe. So, and basically when I move, I not even care when he punching, because I have so many different, somebody that like John punched me so much harder. And I was like, try to put my rib back, because one was in, one was out. And one, I can't breathe completely. And when I'm just like and he exactly jumping when my rib popped back. I was like, pop, I was like, I was breathing, and that's when I'm ducking out and from my knee right away. So just like automatically. So
you throw a knee. So Mario jumps over your back, kind of,
and I'm step back on my right leg right away, because this was automatically. It's just because we work with John, that's knee as concept was so many times and like other thing, whatever you want to say, what John didn't mention when we train, right? So he always say, like we pass so much, and he actually just take it. Right now, actually, I realize he just take it like really great leadership when he put in my brain and seed it like make me like a great soldier. That's all I say that.
John Perretti, I will say this. Igor's first fight, he starts really fast and the camera misses like an incredible kick that he landed, which would have been a highlight reel on every single like little promo video that Extreme Fighting did. And I mean, obviously the camera guy missed it, but when Mario Sperry jumped,
Sidekick. It's a sidekick, by the way.
sure.
Yeah,
We worked on that for fucking months.
When
not a month, more than that.
but when Mario Sperry comes over the back of Igor and he's getting back up, the reaction time of the knee striking Mario's eye, it's almost too fast for the camera again.
Okay, well, let me say.
Okay, hold on. John, hold on. One second. I'm sorry about that. But that's the reason why we do that, because when we train, if John remember that, it's like a 2 or 3 guys in Long Island just try to do the jumping in me, and not even jumping, try to catch me on a guillotine, and I'm just move around, I'm ducking, and same time I throw the low kick, knees, elbows, all the above. So it just is become like
muscle
automatically.
Memory.
Yes,
Muscle
that's correct.
memory.
Like a proprioception movements completely, So
We train the knees. We train knees hard, and that's why it would have been a really good fight, Rutan versus Zinoviev. We train knees hard, but he's not telling you something, and I don't know why, but I think I have to listen to the fight again. But he's watching Sperry's feet.
That's correct.
Through his
That's
own,
right.
under his own arms.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I
Because
did that.
he's a tactical motherfucker. You deny that?
You know
No,
why? You know why?
Wait.
You know
Hannah.
why? You know
Hannah.
why? Hold on. Because someone wanna try to break my feet when we're training. When it started to break my toes.
Son of
Who
a
would do things like that? Well, who would
He
do
can't
that?
do anything.
Gotta
You
kick
can
a
do
guy like that out of the
anything.
gym.
You don't want a scumbag like that in the gym with you either.
Especially if it's his gym.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair game. John,
Anyway, yeah, so
go ahead.
the counter knees, he was so good at it that I'd have to wear chest protectors and rib protectors over chest protectors.
So John Perretti, let's think about how this thing all laid out. You got your venue taken from you. You got fighters in a bus. You go to a venue where you, doing color commentary, also have to move the crowd over to one section where you knew the ring girls would go and the cameras, because you guys, I mean, you guys had to do it in order to make it look full. You got fighters pulling out in the locker room, the UFC paying people not to fight for you, and you just crossed the finish line with just absolute magic at the end. I mean, and I'll tell you one thing, the nickname Houdini at this point in the game, it was not said.
Yeah, because like for real, when they say that, I was like, who is that? and John like, you don't know who it is? I was like, no. And he tried to explain me, but I was like, oh, whatever.
Whatever. Okay.
Well, that was Dave Von Tempo. Dave Von
It's not
Tempo
about my mom.
gives-
Okay. Yeah. It's not about my
Von
mom or dad.
Tempo.
Okay.
Dave Von Tempo gives him the Houdini nickname.
Well, John Perretti, you crossed the finish line, man. Like how? I mean, this had to have been what a relief, huh?
Yeah, it was nice, I mean, and no one really got hurt. And I could go back on the road and wear my 3-piece suit and my spectacles and go on all the talk shows to try to surmount the mythology of the UFC, saying that we were the ugly brother,
Well,
and more violent.
Let me give a little bit of context to this. Well, first, let me ask you, John, and I've kind of alluded to this question in our first interview, but you've had some time to think. I'm going to ask the same question twice. All right, let's really look at this. You had Zinoviev beat Mario Sperry. You had Victor Tatarkin fight, Conan. Obviously, it didn't work out. Conan goes on to win a title. Yeah, Carlson Gracie Jr. fight John Lewis for John Lewis. If there's scorecards, John Lewis wins that fight. Then you had Health Gracie fight. Obviously he started this, but like the Gracie, I guess, mythology, it kind of took a hit on this one. I'm not saying like it was defeated, but it didn't look as it just didn't look as unbeatable. Thank you, Joey. It didn't look unbeatable. Was that kind of your goal in matchmaking for this?
No.
Mm-hmm.
My goal
Did you have
was
that thought?
Create a sport. Do I have a nose for weakness? Yes. Do I see things? As I said, the show started off even poorly, in my opinion. I thought it was going to be one raucous kickboxing match. So I don't know what's really going to happen. I will never say I know what's going to happen. I will tell you that the way that I trained people and myself was that I would do things that worked, and if they didn't work, I would lose them. There was no mythology in the school. All kinds of people were coming through the school in New York to try out, so to speak. So we trained to beat everybody. And he's a perfect example of that. He's an example where he comes in with all these skills and then learns other skills, really, really well, and surmounts things that I thought I did pretty fucking good at the time. And then he learns it 6 times better, so it's like when Harold German gets in the cage there and I see it, we worked against boxers all the time, so there was only like 2 things that we did for boxers, so I knew that he was either going to be a defense against boxer, which is a technique that I still talk about today. It's a Zinoviev technique, and it's putting a guy on the back of his neck. And I've done it. I did it in a real fight. So I thank him for that. Or it's the sidekick. I mean, his flexibility, his lateral flexibility is unprecedented. And they call it a Russian split. Well, he had a Russian split. I had flexibility in a different way, in an asymmetrical format. But his flexibility, when I started to add the things that I thought the sidekick should do, all of a sudden we started stretching him out in a lateral way, in an asymmetrical way for his sidekick. All of a sudden his sidekick, like in, I don't know, a day, gets exponentially better. I don't know how to say it. Igor?
No.
Yeah.
Let me kind of put a little bow on this little gift.
Mm-hmm.
Black Belt Magazine, Royce Gracie writes a monthly article, and in regards to this, Royce Gracie writes in an issue he wrote about extreme fighting and Mario Sperry's preposterous record. Wait. Being from Brazil doesn't make somebody a good fighter, and Mario Sperry wasn't a real Gracie fighter, even though he was like at this point he was a Carlson Gracie black belt. He goes on to say that Perretti offered him like a measly $5,000 to fight. Like he really went out of his way to badmouth what you guys did in this event.
Oh,
Yeah. What's the question?
It's like, I don't know. More of a statement, John. Hoping to get a reaction from the statement, dude.
but I guess that was like not even maybe like a statement of the make money. It was just title fights, just like people fight to prove something different, like what's kind of like martial arts better before.
Yeah,
Because
but
like
the whole
nobody talking about so much about money. So because I remember like the money, I was like, I don't care, like, so yeah, of course I would like to get some money, make some money, but on that point,
from his perspective or lack of it, I would say that that he could say whatever he wanted to. I mean, he was fighting dolts. Even if they were fights, even if they were legitimate fights, right? And it wasn't, Horian's idea of my cousin in his pajamas, beats up a bunch of fucking lunatics. Even if they were real fights, at whatever, 45 years old, I could beat Ron Van Cleef. I mean, it's just, I mean, those guys went on to create this amazing mythology based on silliness. And people just ate it up, and and now in every mall, across the world is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I don't know. I mean, he in a sense, he's right. He wins by what he says, because people will always listen to Royce Gracie. You gotta understand that if there was something wrong with the Ultimate Fighting Championship, people should have seen it by John McCarthy being the referee for Royce Gracie. Some things were really obvious, and no one picks up on this shit. No one understands that I could see things that others could not see.
Well, John, let's kind of put this in a proper context. Igor, have you ever been told by somebody that they know a master that's got like a death touch or can knock you out with just pure energy? Like that was the time, right, Igor?
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yes.
So John, you're speaking like a foreign language when you're talking common sense at this moment in history.
Yeah,
I like to point that out to people. Like the modern era of mixed martial arts starts this day. This is the day it starts.
There has been nothing in martial arts that has changed martial arts since Bruce fucking Lee than that day in history.
I will say the WCC had the opportunity to kind of say that, but they had a tournament format where we had grapplers on one side, strikers on the other side.
That was silly.
And the rules for each side of the tournament were completely different. Like he had a miss. It was a swing and a miss.
Well, they wanted to avoid.
I don't know anything about that.
Okay.
But the rules, the fully adopted rules of mixed martial arts are Extreme Fighting 1. Wait, did you get that? I mean, people, do you understand that? That the gloves are Extreme Fighting 2. Thank you, Dr. Aswanik. That the whole idea of weight classes and talent pools and pyramidal format is all right from the get-go.
Okay. So I know I'm going to get some pushback in the comments section in regards to this. So there was Japan, which was before Extreme Fighting 2. They also wore gloves. But what I believe they were the weightlifting gloves that they took the metal bar out of. Are you talking about a glove that is specifically designed for mixed martial arts? Was EF2?
in 5 weight classes. Weighed, cut, sewn for 5 weight classes, right? That's what Aswanik and I did. That's the mixed martial arts glove. Rickson Gracie did not invent the mixed martial arts glove, right? Tito Ortiz did not invent the mixed martial arts glove, as John Lewis so eloquently put.
I don't think I like Tito, but I think that there's some issues there. That's all.
The issue is he owes me an apology.
What about Bart Vale? What was your opinion on
Vale?
What was your opinion on him?
He was big. Big guys accept mediocrity easily. He was a guy who used because of his supposed connections with great grapplers. I think I could have probably used him more. I don't think people understood how big a sport this was, and how focused you could be on this kind of a sport. I think he could have been bigger.
But so you give him credit as a real fighter because he had a bigger reputation than his resume. A lot of what he did was in Japan, a lot of works, a lot of shoot wrestling.
Well, then are you going to if you talk about works, right, which are really important to me, right, since I never made a work match, right, since if you talk about works, then you eliminate everybody from Japan.
Wait. So let me clarify this. Let's quantify this. Matt Hume, do you believe he did works in Japan?
You'd have to ask Matt, but some things look funny.
For sure.
Now you'd have to ask Matt. I respect Matt tremendously, and he's a very religious guy, and I'm sure he won't lie. But my eyeballs on things see things that other people's eyeballs conveniently don't see.
Health Gracie and Eugene Tadeu. There was a little bit of controversy between those two.
What a fucking cool fight. God damn. The Gracie killer, really, the original Gracie killer.
Mm-hmm. Did Health Gracie back out of that fight?
I don't remember. I really don't remember.
That was a rumor I heard. I heard you offered it, and he said no.
Well, nobody wanted to fight him. I mean, I wanted him to fight all of them.
You're talking about Eugenio.
I mean, that's why I brought the axe murderer in. I mean, that's why I just wanted, at that point in time, I just wanted to dispel the mythology.
Rickson Gracie and Bas Rutten.
Oh, that's a joyride fight. I thought that was going to happen on a bus, actually.
Would you care to expand on that?
Oh, I think Pedro Izzo told me this whole story, and then Bas told me again. But the Rickson had everybody waiting on a bus to go, and he was, hours late and stuff. And Bas Rutten was furious because all fighters are equal, and got in Rickson's fucking face and was just furious. And Bas could go from here to here, in a microsecond, so. Yeah, Bas was the real deal. There were so many Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys that refused to fight Bas Rutten. And they always said to me, "Oh, John, Bas Rutten, he's not very good on the ground." I'm like, "What? I said, yeah, no, we saw you with him. You know, you were rolling with him, being nice at Beverly Hills Jiu-Jitsu, and you know, he really not that good on the ground. Yeah, but you're missing something. I said, all his fights end on the ground. Someone's always unconscious on the fucking ground. See, that's the problem that the Machados saw right away and kicked me out of their school. They saw that, you know, while you're trying to get the go behind choke and the strained armbar on someone, you could get knocked unconscious in extreme fighting. That dispels the mythology immediately.
Yeah.
You know, your fucking Maurice Smith decides to throw only one high kick in a fight and lets everyone forget that he can even do that in a fight, you know, and then lets it go, baby.
Yeah, truly incredible. Igor, do you still have your belt?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Right there. Like
Yes.
I show you.
Oh,
It's right
yes.
there. Right there. Right there. See that?
All right.
John, where'd you get those made at? Do you remember?
No, I do not. But they cost a fortune.
Oh,
They
is that
cost a
amazing.
fortune.
That is friggin' amazing. Oh. Igor Zinoviev.
So-
Go ahead.
I
Go
got
ahead, John.
Oh, and I was just going to say that, you know, Zinoviev is my only second degree black belt.
Joey?
Okay.
Thank you.
We got off of Extreme Fighting 1 a little bit, so I got to ask a question. What happened with Orlando Wheat? He was supposed to fight on one of your cards. What happened there?
That was Extreme Fighting 2. We backs out of the fight in Extreme Fighting 2. I mean, Extreme Fighting 2 was it was cannibalized, you know, and ultimate, you
Yeah.
know.
That's our next episode. That's our
They
next
hit us
episode.
with
Okay,
everything.
okay.
So yeah, we'll talk about it. But you know, I had some disparaging things to say to him. Although I really, really respected him as a fighter. You know, and at that point in time, I was so mad I probably would have fought him myself
Huh.
and gotten knocked out. That guy had some fucking legs, man.
Yeah,
What a great athlete.
World-class hands.
What a-
World-class
what a-
hands.
What a great athlete.
I agree. Igor Zinoviev,
Yes.
thank you for joining us once again.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Honestly, dude, you've got an incredibly
Seriously.
fascinating life, and this is just a very, very small chapter in it.
Oh, I understand, but you guys do an absolutely great job. Seriously. I love it.
Thank you.
Seriously. I would love to be with you guys. Seriously.
Igor, next
Thank
time
you.
I'm in Miami now. Next time I'm here, I'd like to get
Just
some lunch
coming
with you.
in. Coming in. I'm gonna just I can pick you up maybe and I'll show you like our jiu-jitsu school. I will
Igor,
introduce you.
I gotta get a picture with you, dude. I have
Absolutely.
to get a picture.
Come in.
Fuck.
Yes, we are doing.
Joey, I'll meet
I
you.
introduce you.
I'm going to assume that invite's for both of us. I'm going to act that way anyway.
Yes.
I'm going to knock on doors.
I love it.
I was just with Joey in California. He didn't ask me for a fucking autograph.
That's not true. I can prove it. You want to see it? I got your autograph. Right here.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh,
That's right. He signs me a picture and calls me a sycophant. That's John Perretti.
All right.
Igor, I'll shoot you a text tomorrow. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So John Perretti's going to join us for the wrap up. Josh Campbell.
Okay.
Oh no, you don't want me here?
Oh, I definitely
sorry.
want you here. What the fuck,
Oh.
John? I mean, we got to tell us what we did wrong. What the fuck?
I was just enthralled by the whole thing. I didn't really look at it like you guys did anything wrong. I thought that you know, and I still feel that it was the show was just, and thank you, Donald Zuckerman, but the show was just light years ahead of anybody and anything, and it created mixed martial arts. forget whether you believe I coined it or not, and you think Jeff Blatnick coined it, right? I mean, forget whatever you want to forget, but
Well, here, let me comment on it.
the
Hold on.
product was amazing.
Jeff Blatnick, what UFC did he start at?
No idea.
Josh Campbell? Let me see.
UFC 4.
Ah, fuck. All right. I was hoping it was after UFC 7. Okay.
That's right. He came in with 7.
Look at this fucking mentally ill guy. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy right here, Josh Campbell, is so fucked up with little tiny tidbits of mixed martial arts information. We're going to need you to get that press release, Josh. That is your next call to duty.
So, Josh, in my memoirs, I got permission to print this article that this gentleman did. It was called "Who Coined Mixed Martial Arts?" And it's printed in my memoirs. That press release is referred to in that article. That press release was everywhere.
Josh Campbell,
and then it was nowhere.
You got a mission,
like me
buddy.
Being airbrushed out of photographs,
You got a mission, Josh.
I understand. I'll try to uncover this ancient truth.
dude, you 100% will do it. If anyone in this group can do it, it's you.
We got our best guy on the job for you, John.
Oh yes. Oh, dude, you
just have to understand that that there was a team put together to airbrush me out of the history of the UFC.
That's a shame, man. It's a shame, and it's like it's such like an obvious thing to disprove. Like we've always been here. I did mushrooms. Like I'm sober. I have not had a single sip of alcohol since I was 18 years old. That's a fact. I did a heroic dose of mushrooms. And when I did that in my little realm, it told me two things. One of which was concentrate on MMA history. It's something you're passionate about, and it's something that you can make a name for yourself with. And
the medicine told you that?
Yes, it did. Swear to God. Yes.
Well, Joey's laughing.
Yeah, you can laugh all you want. Laugh all you want. That's why we're here. So
I'm glad it happened.
In essence, like when I first started doing it, people would like the real history people would say, "You're the only one actually doing real history. The UFC is like it's just pure fiction." Like Dana White didn't invent MMA. Dana White came in at UFC 33. Like there's 33, well, actually more than that if you include the Ultimate Ultimates and Japan. There's almost 40 UFC events before Dana White makes his entrance. That's. I mean, I respect Dana. I've got a world. I would love to interview him about the early stuff, but I tell you what, like he didn't invent MMA. He may have brought it to the next level, but he definitely didn't invent it.
Right. There are people who think that MMA started with the Ultimate Fighter TV show.
Oh, for sure.
There are people who think that the Contenders is a show that Dana White produced.
Yeah. Josh Campbell, what were your thoughts of the interview?
Can I quote John Perretti?
Yeah, please, by all means. Were you telling Joey to shut up? What are you gonna do?
It was about Dave Bontempo. It's just a very interesting sentence. He knew nothing, but he knew as much nothing as the nothing knowers in the UFC. That is a funny fucking sentence, dude. That is a funny sentence.
Now, Dave Bontempo, wasn't he an announcer for the pay-per-view Tough Man competitions?
He was a boxing guy, and he's
he was a boxing guy.
Betting lines.
Also,
but he also did some other things too. What did he do? Horse racing?
Horse racing is what when I Google his name, a lot of horse.
I don't know. He was a really nice guy. He was a really nice guy.
Well, let's get him on for part 2.
I'd like to get
Zuckerman on for part 2.
Oh man, that's so great, because
could you make that happen?
Everything. Yeah, I can make it happen.
Fuck, dude, John Perretti. Dude, John, I'm going to tell you.
My knee is just my knee just weeped all this yellow blood fluid out of it.
So John had knee surgery a few days ago. We figured we'd hold this interview until after to give him a little bit of a distraction. But John, I'm going to tell you, your text messages to both Joey and I, the conversations, the almost daily conversations we have, dude, they mean a lot to both of us. Like it's your quirkiness, your directness, your vocabulary. It's I can't wait to finally meet you, dude. I give you a big hug. Honestly,
Well,
you're a friend, man. You're a friend.
Thank you, gentlemen, and it was nice meeting you, Josh.
It was very nice talking to you, John.
Again, I'm sorry. We met before.
Wait, that's Mr. Perretti to you, Josh. Sorry, John.
In about 1998 or so, and I'm happy that you remember.
There you go. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
See you later, John.
Ladies and gentlemen, please like, share, subscribe. If you guys got other missions for Joshua Campbell to go on and find really bizarre, fucking crazy facts, kind of like the UFC 7 poster, which we had in the discussion, and John Perretti just cut. I mean, he literally got to that finish line in order to kind of correct that. But Josh Campbell, by you even bringing that to our attention and kind of going, hey guys, I'm not saying Perretti's wrong. All I'm saying is this event took place a month prior, and the way you presented to us is just very level-headed, and it's greatly appreciated.
Hey, Josh, there's some really famous fights that you don't know anything about. Famous street fights that I was in New York. Really famous. That there's a surfing fight out in front of the Southampton surf shop. There's students of mine all over the place in New York can tell you about amazing street fights that I was in. Zenobia can even tell you about a few. But anyway, it was nice to meet you. And
share, subscribe.
Check out the full interview on iTunes, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms.